Drea, when you think of me, what do you think of?
A lot of things.
Please, care to share?
Troubled.
Troubled? Yeah?
Famous.
Famous? I guess that is probably accurate. Like, not really, but, like, I guess by some standards out there. A bit of a lost soul, a troubled boy.
Yeah.
And do you know why that is, Drea?
Why?
Because I didn't have the guidance on the way up.
Oh, really?
I wasn't told things like, never mix business with pleasure. Like maxims like
I
that.
thought I've told you that many times.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Maybe I was told that a few times, but I never took it seriously. But what we're here today is to tell you just 6 things, 6 quick tips about being a musician, about being a live performer that we wish somebody would have told us.
Yes, we needed other people's guidance, and here we are to give you guys exactly what you need.
So you don't become a lost, troubled soul.
So you don't become like us.
Like myself. Or you're in this group too.
Seasoned
I thought this was just about me. Oh, seasoned performer, not troubled soul.
Oh, that's your own
that's my thing. Got it. Uh-huh.
Could not be me.
Never mix business with pleasure.
Yeah, I was never neglected.
Unless it's worth it.
Oh my.
All of these have exceptions, by the way. So what should we start out with? What's number 1? This video is sponsored by the good people at Sennheiser.
Oh my gosh, that's actually official.
And specifically their Access Wireless in-ear monitoring set, which is going to be one of these things that we're going to talk about. But that's not number 1. Do you know what number 1 is, Drea?
No idea.
It's the best way to alleviate pressure in a live situation is to realize that nobody cares.
Oh yeah, this is so true. No one's gonna remember if you made a mistake.
Nope.
Most people won't even remember if you sounded good.
Unless it's like a truly hideous, terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Like if you kill a man on stage, they'll remember that. But usually that's not going to be the case.
Oh yeah, unless you're like an awful singer, like you're basically good.
Yeah, no one's going to remember. And again, there are so many different types of gigs out there. And I think usually when people first start performing, the gigs are maybe low to medium gigs, of which we've played many.
Are ours low to medium?
No. Ours are elite. Only the finest of gigs for us now, but when we first started out.
Yes.
But remember how nerve-wracking it would be?
Yes.
It would be incredibly nerve-wracking.
Even for like a coffee shop that no one's attending.
Right? Yeah, I know exactly the show you're talking about, actually.
Which one?
We don't even have to say it. I know that one very well. But the sooner that you realize that, like, I'm the only one that remembered that gig. You and me are the only people that remembered that night even happened.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like, that's just the thing. Once you kind of, like, just realize that people going out are generally there to have a good time. Mm-hmm. Just be like, hey, we're just adding to the atmosphere. Whether it's
so
like
true.
a restaurant kind of bar gig, whatever. Whether it's just maybe like a small stage, like a festival. Whether it's like a huge stage at a festival. Whether you're headlining a tour or whatever. People are generally going out to have a good time. Now, if you're doing stuff on the internet, people will just sit at home and hate on you. That happens less in like real life, right?
Yes. You probably won't be, trolled in person. I mean, most likely.
Right, sure. Now, the flip side of this is still be prepared for the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be like, oh, Andre and Sean said I shouldn't be worried, so I'm going to go out there and not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, nobody cares, so I shouldn't care either.
Nobody cares, so I don't care. No, still put your best foot forward, but, just remember, people aren't going to get upset at you. Just go out there, try to have a good time. If you're having a good time, they're going to be having a good time. If you're nervous and weird, they're going to feel nervous and weird. All right?
Very true.
Yes.
Your energy transfers to your audience.
Exactly. It goes both ways. Sometimes you can kind of be like kind of down. The crowd is hopping. We get like those cool tables that are front and then they're into it. Then all of a sudden we wake up and we're into it.
Yes.
It's the same thing, right?
Yes.
So just don't try to force your exuberance on people, but realize that it's going to be fine no matter what.
Yes.
Do you want to know what number 2 of what we wish we would have known?
I don't know.
Proper monitoring systems.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
we
this
needed
is
Sennheiser.
This is where Sennheiser actually does come into play. It's like, okay, yeah, this sponsors this video, but we've been Sennheiser stands for a long time.
Yes.
We use their mics for every single show that we play. She's a 435 girl. I'm a 445 kind of guy. Microphones. You don't even remember the model name.
I do remember.
We mix them up too a lot sometimes.
I always forget. I have to go back to our video actually.
Yeah, we have to go to our own video of us demoing the microphones to remember which one it is that we like. Otherwise, we mix them up. But they're both great microphones, so it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
But it is just great, right? But monitoring is so important. All right.
Jeez.
Now again, it doesn't matter what type of gig you're playing, there are many different types of things that you could do. All right, so again, I would say the majority of shows out there are more like bar, restaurant gigs, just like live music, maybe 50 to 200 people, maybe I would say is the majority of live performances out there just in the world, okay? So a lot of times you're at the mercy of your PA system to monitor how you're gonna sound, okay? Maybe you have a speaker monitor in front of you. In-ear monitors are the way to go. I've always kind of resisted it, but the main reason that you need them specifically for the restaurant gigs is we get told to turn it down a lot, right? Because a lot of times the proximity of the PA is going to be close to the tables playing. So it's really hard to get a mix and a balance of what you're doing. And again, we're like guitar, vocal duo. So it's like, oh, could you guys turn it down? It's like, well, I still need to be loud enough to hear what I'm doing. She needs to be loud enough to hear herself. Probably, honestly, a little bit louder to sing over the guitar.
Yes.
Right? Because usually, you find each other in the mix.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
Dramatic.
We're always searching for each other.
So that
out
makes
in the
it
mix.
difficult when we have to be put down, but then we also can't hear ourselves at all. So it's like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you have the restaurant noises, you're trying to sing over it, and then it just becomes a really unenjoyable experience. Specifically for a guitar player, because like if you play, again, a side note, having a compressor pedal is another great thing to have as a guitar player, because then you can kind of like get a little more juice out of it. But in-ear monitors are a way to fix that, because then you always have a mix that you can turn up. So Drea is feeling very professional with this Sennheiser in-ear monitoring set.
Period.
With this,
comes with these.
do you want to talk about this first before I get into the nuts and bolts, just how this made you feel, just clipping this onto your...
Oh, I felt
person?
so official. I literally felt like an actual performing artist for the first time
for the first
in my
time.
entire career.
Not getting paid or doing actual shows.
All I did was put this on, which I'm gonna try to do without messing it up.
Here we go. Here we go. Put them on those harem pants.
Oh,
I love
trying.
it. You can have them in the front or the back for sure.
You just clip it on.
Yeah.
And I feel so official.
And basically, so you have this right here, so this is like the transmitter. You would plug like an output from your soundboard into here, you have mono or stereo, and then you actually have another headphone out here, and then you match it with this. This is battery powered, it comes with batteries, and then you can kind of hear whatever it is from your mixer, and you can crank this into your own ears, so you can actually hear yourself without having to crank the entire mix and just destroy a venue with your just PA mix.
Very true.
Right? And another thing that's awesome about this is a lot of the wireless in-ear monitor sets don't come with headphones. So this comes with actually cool headphones, because technically you might want to get molded in-ear monitors, which can be expensive, it can be production. But again, these are pretty good considering, they just kind of throw them in with the set.
Yes.
But yeah, maybe long term, if you do want to get molded in-ear monitors, you could do that, and then that'll still be compatible with the Sennheiser stuff. So, having the monitor situation under control is something that I definitely wish we would have figured out a little bit earlier. And now we know. Again, not totally necessary for everything. Like when we're busking, for example, I don't feel like we need an in-ear monitor set for that. Or any kind of... That's a great example of when the PA kind of acts as a decent monitor.
Because you can also stand in front of it.
Yeah.
So you can hear yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
At the restaurant gig, since we're behind it usually, it's more difficult.
Yeah, you can't hear yourself, and again, the restaurant owner's going to tell you to turn it down or turn it up or whatever, and you're going to be pushing a lot of whatever. So, key for some gigs you might not need it, but it's definitely something you should be aware of and how it works. All right? Well, something else that you wish you would have known.
Number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Parking and setup.
This is one of those things that's like a detail that might seem insignificant until you get there and there's nowhere close to park because everybody's already there. Usually a lot of these venues are in like a downtown area where it's already like ridiculous to park. So unloading your gear and stuff like that, you want to clear with the venue the first time you go there ahead of time how it's going to work, right? Because we're bad at this. We're generally really bad at a lot of these things. Listen, we've lived through these things.
Yeah, we have.
Right.
This is something that I never would have thought of if not for Sean. Especially going to the first gig, like you have to ask them, like, oh, where do you park? Where do we set up? I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot we have to do that.
Right, because especially all the upscale places, they don't want you carrying giant subwoofers in through the customer entrance.
No.
Right, like, oh, we're the musicians just banging into tables and stuff with all the gear. A lot of times they have you come in through the back, right? Which usually is a better way to do it because generally they have some kind of employee parking available. So honestly, as long as you clear this ahead of time, you're going to get a better spot to park and it's just going to be easier to kind of set up.
Very true.
Right.
Logistics are very important.
That's right. Ready for the next tip?
Sure.
Get your venue area down pat. So what I mean by that, the area in which you're playing can cover a lot of things. It can cover, first and foremost, just like the power and outlet situation of where you're going to be playing at the place, right? We've been cramped into a lot of spaces over the years.
A lot of like corners.
Right, a lot of corners. They like to put baby in a corner, and there's nothing we can do about it. But also, too, sometimes that corner doesn't have an outlet. So you have to have an extension cord in your car at all times.
Oh, yes. You can't forget the extension cord.
That's just a great idea in general. I like to keep the extension cord in the car and not in the backpack. Because if you don't need the extension cord, then it's in the car and you don't have to, like, go past it.
Fair enough.
That's a pro tip right
That
there
is a
for
pro
you.
tip.
But yeah, find out where the outlets are. Make sure you have enough outlets for what you need. That's why I usually bring a power strip with you too, right? That's always key. That goes without saying. But yeah, know that. And as far as like how your stage setup is going to be, if you don't have a stage, a lot of times you'll be on the same level as maybe like servers walking by. So it's like, all right, well, where are the speakers going to go? Where are the stands going to go? A lot of times you just take for granted that like microphone is going to sit on a stand. A guitar is going to be put down on a stand for the most part. So have that stuff laid out ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to be in people's way. And we played at one spot in particular where we were always in the way. Everything was always in the way.
There's many places that come to mind. This one.
There's one that it's just like, I just remember the one place we could plug in, we'd have to crawl under a grand piano, and like I would have to have her like throw me the cables to like get under there,
Power
right?
strip, extension cord.
Yeah.
And then you're like in the same area as the server, so they're walking by and trying not to bump into you.
It's rough. It's so rough.
Yeah, but as long as you can make your area not look super messy, that's also a big thing, as you were mentioning. Because if you have a bunch of cables everywhere, it looks really unprofessional, and especially if you're playing at a very upscale restaurant, you do not want to give off that energy or vibe.
Yeah, like don't have all like your cases and your crap just out next to you where you're playing.
Try to hide it behind
at least
something.
hide it or put it or bring it back to make the extra trip to go back to your car and put it in there or something, right? Now again, we have been guilty of not doing that.
Stuffing it behind the grand piano.
That piano got a lot of
yeah, it was a
lot of tread on it. Yeah, really covered some things.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend doing that.
Yeah, so just know your setup and just have an idea of everything. Remember, stands, you're gonna need stands. Even for putting like the unit on, something like this. This is like a very small piece of gear, but you're gonna have to put it somewhere. You know what I mean? Just think about where this is gonna be, okay? And this is going to bring us to our next tip, which is tip. How to tip.
Oh, yeah. The tip jar.
Right? This is something that, like, we were kind of late on.
Honestly, we never showed up with a tip jar. We just always had to use, like...
Well, no, we've showed up with tip. All right, we've improvised a lot of tip jars.
Okay, but...
We had a tip jar.
Once upon a time, we had a tip jar that had the word tips on it, but then I don't know where that went.
We really put a lot of man hours went into the arts and crafts section of that tip jar.
Should do like a heart with like the word took like 30 minutes.
Oh, it was really beautifully.
Yeah.
And of course it was like too small.
Yeah,
you know?
And then people like couldn't fit their money in. Yeah, you want to make sure it's a hefty tip jar because you want to give off the impression that you're looking for a lot of tips.
And you gotta start it off yourself. You gotta put some money in there so people know. You gotta put your own money in there. And then be sure to make sure you remember what you put in there.
Oh, yeah. So I don't take it.
That's right. Or else Drea is going to be like, oh, sure, you put a 50 in there to start it? Sure. Mm-hmm. Boom. Then you just lost 50% of everything you had.
Oh, yeah. That's totally how it is, right?
That's exactly what happens. So
that's definitely a thing you need.
And also, not everybody's going to have cash to tip you with. So be prepared and just have a Venmo.
Yeah, have a sign.
A little sign, one of those little
QR code.
Go to Walmart with a little sign, Venmo, Andrea and Sean, whatever, you know. I think there's one final tip.
What is it?
Knowing your audience.
Number 6 is knowing your audience.
Yep.
You want to tailor your set list a little bit to what your audience likes or the era of the audience.
That's a great way to look at it. So, you know, maybe your audience is just people there just to see you and you can play all original music. Ideally, that would be great. But what we've found is the higher paying gigs usually want some of the hits.
Yes.
From whatever era it is that the people in that audience are from, generally.
Yes.
And that can be a wide range of things. So have a repertoire ready that kind of covers all the bases, you know? Mm-hmm. Think of the 90-year-old woman out there.
90?
Who just wants, you know what? She's on her way through her sunset years. She just wants to hear a little Frank Sinatra one more time from two young and beautiful people. So have a little Fly Me to the Moon ready.
Have a little
right?
Frank.
Little Frank on tap.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, maybe some Johnny Cash or whatever. Or something old school. But then be ready to shift into the 90s crowd. Right? Maybe have some Beck. Impress people with some Beck.
We've never done
some
that.
Radiohead, Muse. We got them.
You have to diversify the set list. Because if you're just playing the same things, then like you're not going to be able to appeal to a larger audience or to like a bunch of different types of people.
Don't be a curmudgeon about it. Because I'm an artist.
Yes.
I don't play Jason Mraz songs.
Even though you did one time.
One time I did. But here's the thing, like the biggest tips that we've ever gotten have been because of requests.
Yes.
And usually they're probably requests that we would not have picked ourselves. Right?
Yes.
No one's going to be like, dude, I'm going to give you $100 to play some Elliott Smith deep cuts. Will never happen.
Yeah, if it happens, like...
I'm sorry, right? Here's $500. Here's $500 to play me Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher beginning to end. Never going to happen.
Yes.
The people out about spending money, they're going to want to hear Ed Sheeran. They're going to want to hear Hallelujah.
Yeah.
They're going to want to hear Amy Winehouse, which is great for us.
Yes.
But yeah, just don't... Get off that high horse of like I'm an artist and I only play what I want to play. Make people's day. You know what I mean?
That's kind of what you're there for. You're not there to just play your favorite songs. You're there to entertain your audience and the people that you're playing for.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, you're not really doing your job. So like,
if a little girl comes up and wants to hear something from Frozen, try it.
Yeah, like you don't have to be perfect, but if you try it, the effort was made and it is, noticed.
Yeah.
By the audience, the crowd, the parents. I don't know.
Everybody. Yeah. And then they will reward you for it in our experience.
Yes.
Right?
That's very true. Most people, I feel like, don't just tip for no reason.
Right.
There has to be a connection.
Make a connection. Mm-hmm. And what better way to make a connection than to get your mix right in your ears?
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
With this Sennheiser monitoring system, it'll take your live performance to the next level.
Wow, what a read. So it comes with a rack mount kit in here, so you can mount it into something to make it easy to carry around. Also, you can set up 12 different systems on here. We would only need 2 for what we do, but you can expand it once we get our horn section.
Live orchestra.
Once our horn section gets out of jail. They're rough and tumble just like me growing up. They had some bad beats, but I got away with it. They fell on the sword like real homies do. But they're getting out soon. And then we're going to need a few more of these to get the whole horn section out there. But yeah, definitely check it out. Thank you to Sennheiser for sponsoring this video. And making Drea feel like a real artist, apparently, for the first time.
Yeah, I know. It's nice for someone to finally make me feel like that.
Yeah, listen, what I've been trying for years now.
All you needed was this.
I could have just spent a very reasonable amount of money and saved a lot of time and just had you clip a body pack to your person. So yeah, once again, check out the click link in the description. Show Sennheiser people some love. Show Drea some love on her channel. Oh my gosh, if you want to see more of this amazing girl, please do that.
Silvestro, no big deal.
Then hype her up in the comments because she truly is a real artist. And I truly am famous. Famous? The disgust on your face when you said that, just like famous. I kind of don't want to tell him this, but I guess it's kind of true. Thanks.